Hey, Yuffie, what are you reading?
OMG, I'm reading Twilight. It's so good. Like, I don't read a lot of books, but the story is just so amazing. It's about a regular girl who falls in love with a vampire. And it's like so interesting because he loves her, but he wants to eat her at the same time. It is so tense, but that's what makes it so good.
You are not one of us. You must die.
Sephiroth. Let her be.
Just what exactly is your problem?
You have no idea.
So if you'll recall, in the last chapter, dear narrator held a rather pointless conversation with her sexual fantasy. Because we all know that this is really all that this story amounts to, except that there is actually very little in the way of actual sex. So let's continue, shall we? First off, after having this little discussion, Bella heads to class and completely out of her Mary Sue character, she is late. Eric and Mike apparently hate her because she rejected them, since they stay their distance from her. Personally, I think it's her offensive body odor that's keeping the gentleman callers away, but it's open to interpretation. But after class she meets them and they walk to their next class together and the boys slowly become themselves again, like nothing ever happened. I guess being a bitch is easily forgivable nowadays, unless Stephanie Meyer has an extremely distorted perception of reality. No, that's not possible. That fat tub of lard hasn't been in high school for over 15 years, there's no way she could be wrong. As the three of them walk, Mike starts talking about the weather, consequently getting Bella going about it too. I want to strangle Mike. Except she explains through her insufferably irritating inner monologue that is her modus operandi, but no matter what, it will most definitely add to her misery. I feel like I've read this same chapter 4 times already. She spends the rest of the morning dwelling on thoughts of Edward and tuning out everything else that actually matters. Like education. She and Jessica go to lunch together and she immediately looks to the emo corner for Edward, but he's not there. She goes through the lunch line crushed, but then discovers that he is actually sitting at a table by himself, beckoning her with a seductive finger to come to his side and join him in the act of merrymaking. Merrymaking meaning moping and writing emo poems in one's diary. By the way, he actually did do that. "Why don't you sit with me today?" he asked, smiling. I sat down automatically, watching him with caution. He was still smiling. It was hard to believe someone so beautiful could be real. I was afraid that he might disappear in a sudden puff of smoke and I would wake up. He seemed to be waiting for me to say something. "This is different," I finally managed. "Well," he paused, and then the rest of the words followed in a rush. I decided as long as I was going to hell, I might as well do it thoroughly. "Good try you guys, but you fail at dialogue. I am confused." "You are more than likely confused, and our narrator is confused." She reiterates this in the next couple lines of her dialogue. This book has a total of 498 pages, but it could be less than 100 if we took out all of the unnecessarily confusing dialogue and descriptions of Edward. That is only one of the many reasons why it is so painful to read this stupid story. I think your friends are angry with me for stealing you. They'll survive. I could feel their stares boring into my back. "I may not give you back though," he said with a wicked glint in his eyes. I gulped. He laughed. "You look worried." "No," I said, but ridiculously, my voice broke. Surprised actually. What brought all this on? "I told you, I got tired of trying to stay away from you, so I'm giving up." He was still smiling, but his ochre eyes were serious. "For Christ's sake, they've known each other for 3 weeks. 4? Who the hell knows anymore? The stupid author completely writes out such vast amounts of time that it's impossible to be sure. But we're on chapter 5. They never hang out. He offered to drive her to Seattle, which doesn't count as actually hanging out since they haven't even done it yet. It's not like she's been right up in his face. She hasn't really been bothering him, just fantasizing in her mind that he can't read anyway. Oops, spoiler alert. You see this? This is Chewbacca. Chewbacca is a Wookiee from the planet Kashyyyk, but Chewbacca lives on the planet Under. Now think about it, that does not make sense. So there's some more annoying bullshit conversation. So, in plain English, are we friends now? Friends, he mused. Dubious. Or not, I muttered. This next part is pathetic just due to the horrendous use of contradiction. He grinned. Well, we can try, I suppose, but I'm warning you now that I'm not a good friend for you. Behind his smile, the warning was real. You say that a lot, I noted, trying to ignore the sudden trembling in my stomach and keep my voice even. Yes, because you're not listening to me. I'm still waiting for you to believe it. If you're smart, you'll avoid me. I think you've made your opinion on the subject of my intellect clear too. My eyes narrowed. Edward is not the only one who has a strong opinion about this bitch's intellect. You see, just too freaking easy. And she keeps setting herself up for our much-deserved harassment. Alright, so let me try to clear this up here. Though difficult of a task that may be, kind of like sorting out white grains of sand from tan grains of sand and putting them each in separate piles. Oh my god, just thinking about it is making my temple twitch. He's got no reason whatsoever to care about her. They've barely ever spoken formally except for this instance now and before in the science class after he got over his emo disappearing act. And yet for the last several weeks in Twilight time he has been struggling to stay away from this person he hardly knows. She has been obsessing over his supposedly salivating sexiness, but other than that she hasn't really had a legitimate reason to care about him. In short, there is no legitimate or discernible reason for these people to care about each other at all. However, he called upon her during her lunch period, the only time of day that a normal human can eat during a long school day, to tell her that they should not be friends. He implies that he is dangerous, and you'll see quite soon that Bella is so much of an idiot that she never picks up on this alarmingly obvious fact. But I'm thinking, if he's so fucking dangerous and he cares about her so very deeply, then why is he putting her life in danger by allowing himself to associate with that hot mess? Excuse me, just a mess. He is expecting her to be the responsible one and stay away from him, and plans on her being stupid so that he can keep on putting her life in danger from his dangerousness. Not only does this mean that he really thinks she's stupid, but now I ask you, does that make sense? No, it does not. It does not make sense. Chewbacca. So the bullshit goes on and he pulls the "what if I'm not the superhero, what if I'm the bad guy" load. And then I died of a conniption fit because the next part is so idiotic. Oh, I said, as several things he'd hinted fell suddenly into place. I see. Do you? His face was abruptly severe, as if he were afraid that he'd accidentally said too much. You're dangerous, I guessed, my pulse quickening as I intuitively realized the truth of my own words. He was dangerous. He'd been trying to tell me that all along. Are you kidding me? Hinted? Hinted? He fucking hinted at being dangerous? You really are a fucking moron, and your writer is so unbearably horrendous that it makes me want to fucking eat you. I want to eat you, shit you out, then set the feces ablaze on the front porch of the City of Ancients. You do not deserve to exist in this universe. Ugh, I've had it with this chapter, so I'm going to summarize to get this thing finished. No, I can't take this anymore. You all know how stupid Bella is, as well as what a mediocre amateur her writer is, so I'm not even going to bother with it anymore today. My head hurts. I need to lie down. So the bell rings and she goes to class, and Edward skips and he tells her it's healthy to skip every now and then. The reason for this is because he knew ahead of time that they were going to be doing blood typing, and since he's obviously a vampire, that could be a particularly potent catalyst to quite an interesting school massacre. In theory. We all know what he would really do is mope around cracking people's necks and saying, "Oops, my bad." But Bella has like half vampire powers and faints at the sight and smell of blood, so she has to go to the nurse. Ironic that later on she'll want to become a vampire so she can live off that shit for eternity. Then Edward shows up as Mike is taking her to the nurse's office, then takes her home. They discuss Debussy and she gets ready to go to the beach. The end. I'm done with this. Hey, where's my double shot non-fat foam-free cappuccino? No, not from Starbucks. The coffee shop down the street. God, can't you people do anything right?
Sephiroth, what are you doing?
I am teaching this little one some lessons in humanity.
It looks like you're hurting her.
I'm not.
Is he hurting you?
No.
Let her up.
But our lesson isn't over yet. Look, if she's going to be part of our little family, she must learn to hate Twilight.
I heard the new Breaking Dawn movie referred to as the most expensive anti-teen pregnancy film ever made. Remember when the book came out how mad the fans were? People will see. Trust me, they'll see. Your day will come. Just let the twitards be and then you can bask in the glory of your being right all along.